I never thought a simple request would lead to a life-changing night of heartbreak and connection. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started like any other Friday, with the sun dipping low and the sky painted in shades of orange and pink. The air was thick with the scent of grilled street food, mingling with laughter and the hum of weekend anticipation. But lurking beneath the surface, something dark was brewing. That I stood in the bustling market, lost in a sea of strangers, my stomach churning like a tempest. My friend Ava had asked me to pick up a mysterious package from a vendor. Just a weird art piece, she said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I shrugged, eager to help, to feel a spark of normalcy amid my chaotic life. But when I approached the stall, the air turned electric. The vendor, an older woman with wild, silver hair and piercing green eyes, wouldn't let go of her cryptic grin. "This is more than just an art piece, my dear," she whispered, handing me a box wrapped in tattered velvet. My heart raced. The weight of it seemed to pulse in my hands. "It will change everything, you know." I should have dropped it right then. But curiosity gnawed at me. What did she mean? I felt a shiver race down my spine as I walked away. The crowd blurred around me, colors swirling like a dizzying kaleidoscope. I could almost hear my heartbeat against the chaos, thrumming in my ears. Later that night, I finally opened the box in my dimly lit room. A single photograph rested inside, an image that took my breath away. It was a picture of me, but it wasn't just me. It was me, sitting on a park bench, smiling, holding hands with someone I didn't recognize. My heart sank. The stranger's eyes were filled with warmth, yet a hint of sorrow shadowed the brightness. I felt a tight knot form in my chest as I stared at the photograph. Emotion crashed over me like waves: fear, confusion, hope. Who was that? Why did I have no memory of this moment? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was caught in a web of destiny. I felt drawn to the image, like a moth to a flame, but a gnawing dread pulsed through my veins. With trembling hands, I turned the photo over, hoping for answers. Instead, there was just a name scrawled across the back: Leo. Panic gripped me. I didn't know anyone named Leo. My mind raced with possibilities. What did it all mean? My breath quickened. The world outside my window faded into darkness, the only sound my rapid heartbeat echoing in the silence of the room. What have I stepped into? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The photograph slipped from my fingers, fluttering to the floor like a fallen leaf. I didn't even bother picking it up. The weight of it still lingered in my heart, pressing down, forcing me to confront an unsettling truth. I felt completely adrift. Who was Leo? What kind of connection did we share, and why was it so painfully absent from my memory? I stumbled to my desk, the dim light flickering as the shadows danced toward me. My mind raced, scavenging for answers in a landscape of confusion. My phone buzzed, shattering the silence. It was Ava, her message lighting up the screen. "Hey, did you get the package? Can't wait to see it." I hesitated. Plunging into this uncharted territory felt like wandering into a storm without an umbrella. But she was my best friend. I owed her honesty. With a shaky breath, I replied, "I did. But there is something strange about it." While waiting for her reply, I paced back and forth, glancing at the fallen photograph as if it were a live wire. Each heartbeat echoed the isolation I felt. I had always been one to find solace in the familiar, my routines, my simple life, the safety of knowing who I was. Yet now, an unfamiliar name had burst into my reality like a rogue wave. Just as uncertainty descended on me again, my phone buzzed once more. "What do you mean strange?" Ava inquired, her concern palpable even through the screen. "Do you want me to come over? I can bring ice cream." The idea of distractions pulled me away from the darkness coiling around my thoughts. "Okay," I replied, desperate to unravel the mystery with someone who cared. "I'll explain when you get here." After what felt like hours, there was a knock on the door. Ava burst into the room, her vibrant energy slicing through the heaviness in the air. She carried 2 containers of ice cream, chocolate and mint, an offering to my disquieted soul. Ice cream is the answer to any problem, right? She laughed, setting the tubs on my desk. I forced a smile, my heart still tangled in anxious knots. As we sat down, I told her everything: the vendor, the photo, Leo. Ava's expression shifted from light-hearted amusement to the same urgency that I felt. We need to find out who he is, she insisted, her eyes wide with determination. In that moment, I felt a small flicker of hope. Perhaps together, we could shed light on this enigma that clawed at my chest. But just as I began to embrace the warmth of camaraderie, the chill of uncertainty swept through me once more. What if Leo is someone I should know? What if this photo is some kind of warning? I murmured, feeling the color drain from my face. Ava reached for my hand, anchoring me. Look, we'll start digging. But no matter what we find, I'm right here with you. As those reassuring words enveloped me, I momentarily forgot about the looming shadow of confusion. We vowed to go to the park and the photograph the next day, a quest for clarity mixed with a hint of anticipation. For the first time in hours, I allowed myself to breathe, but as the night deepened, the tranquility shattered once again. My phone chimed a text from an unknown number. With a pounding heart, I opened it. Be careful. There are things you don't understand yet, and people watching you. My breath hitched, the world spinning as fresh dread washed over me. Who was sending this? Did they know something I didn't see? Panic surged in my veins as Ava's laughter faded, consumed by the weight of this new revelation. Suddenly, the darkness outside my window felt more imminent, filled with unseen eyes, waiting. The search for Leo had just taken a terrifying turn, and now the stakes were higher than ever. The weight of the message hung suspended in the air like a thick fog, wrapping around me and squeezing the air from my lungs. Ava noticed my sudden stillness and leaned forward, concern flooding her features. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice low. I handed her my phone. The screen illuminated with that ominous threat. As she read the words, her eyes widened, mirroring the rising tide of panic I felt inside. "We need to take this seriously. Whoever sent this might know something about Leo," she said, her voice steady, but I could hear the tremor beneath the surface. "I don't even know who Leo is," I exclaimed, frustration edging my voice. "How can I trust someone who's warning me about what? What if I'm in danger?" Ava's hand instinctively found mine again, tight and reassuring. "Okay, let us take a deep breath. We'll figure this out, I promise. But we can't let fear guide us. We need to be smart about this." Her words were a lifeline, but the storm inside me only swelled, crashing against the anchored rock of her calmness. "Let us just go to the park tomorrow, like we planned. Maybe we'll find something or someone that can help us understand this mess," I suggested, still unsure if it was the right choice. "But should we be cautious?" "Absolutely," she replied. "We'll keep our eyes open and maybe do some research tonight." With that, the energy shifted ever so slightly, igniting a flicker of determination within me. The following hours were filled with chaotic energy as we pored over every clue we could find. Ava turned on her laptop, and together, we combed through social media platforms, local news, anything that might hint who Leo was or why he felt like an echo of a former life. As the clock ticked past midnight, exhaustion began to settle in like a heavy shroud, but I still struggled to pry my eyes away from the glowing screen. With a sigh, I pushed my chair back, needing a moment to breathe away from the whirlwind of information. "Why do I feel so attached to someone I can't even remember?" I murmured, almost to myself. Ava looked up, eyebrows furrowing. "Maybe because it's not just about him. It's about who you were before everything went blank. You're searching for pieces of a puzzle you feel you should remember." Her words struck a chord, resonating deep within. "But what if finding those pieces proves that I'm someone I don't want to be?" I whispered, fear slicing through my thoughts. Before she could respond, a loud ring from Ava's phone cut through the silence. It was a call from an unfamiliar number. My heart dropped as I glimpsed her startled expression. She hesitated, then answered, her voice shaky. "Hello?" For a moment, the line crackled with silence, and the tension in the room swelled, palpable and thick. Just as I began to believe it could be related to Leo, a low voice came through, almost drowned by static. "Ava, you need to stop digging into this. Leave it alone. It's for your own good." Ava's eyes widened, her face pale as the sense of urgency in the stranger's voice cut through the air. "Who is this? Why are you telling me this?" she demanded, but the caller had already hung up, leaving her grasping at an empty line. "What was that about?" I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. "What do they know?" "I have no clue, but it's obviously serious," she replied, her voice steadier than I expected, although I could see the tremor in her hands. "But we can't stop now. We have to go to that park tomorrow. I know we're facing some unknown threats, but we need to see this through." The tension suspended between us, a haunting echo of uncertainty and fear, gave way to an unexpected warmth. In a world tumbling into chaos, I realized that despite the darkness, we had each other. Ava's resolve steadied my shaky spirit, if only a little. But as I lay awake that night, haunted by half-formed memories and the chilling warnings that now danced around me, I couldn't shake a feeling that something terrible was lingering just beneath the surface. It was a restless night punctuated by dreams of Leo, fleeting glimpses that left my heart aching for a connection I could barely grasp. They began to morph into something more sinister, shadowy figures watching, waiting then awakening in a panic, gasping for air, still trapped in a web of uncertainty. When dawn broke, I felt the invisible weight of the messages pressing on my conscience, but beneath it all lay a curiosity, an unyielding need to uncover the truth. Who was Leo? And more importantly, why did we seem tethered together by something unseen? As we readied ourselves for the day, a knock suddenly echoed through the empty house this time. It wasn't just the usual creaking of the floorboards or the wind brushing against the windows. It was authoritative, firm. Ava exchanged a frightened glance with me as I moved toward the door, every instinct screaming to turn back. With a deep breath, I opened it cautiously, revealing a stranger standing on the threshold, a chill settling in my bones. "Are you looking for Leo?" they asked, their voice steady but filled with a weight of buried knowledge that sent shivers racing down my spine. The strangers stood there, framed in the doorway, their presence almost tangible, wrapping around me like an electric current. For a moment, I was frozen, the reality of their question crashing over me like a wave, pushing back the waves of confusion and fear. The sun streamed in, bathing their silhouette in a surreal glow, yet all I could focus on were the words that hung in the air like a dark omen. "Who are you?" Ava whispered from behind me, her voice quaking slightly as she stepped closer, her fingers brushing against my arm, grounding me. "I'm a friend," the stranger replied, their eyes scanning my face with an intensity that made my heart race. "But not the kind you might think." "What does that mean?" I pressed, my voice unsteady. "It means I have information about Leo," they said, the weight of the revelation heavy in the air. "And it's time you learn the truth." A mixture of hope and fear twisted in my chest, a turbulent storm that left me momentarily breathless. "What truth?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The stranger hesitated, casting a glance over their shoulder as if wary of being overheard. "Can I come in? We need to talk privately." There was an urgency in their voice that sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. I glanced at Ava, who nodded, her expression determined yet cautious. Taking a step back, I opened the door wider, allowing the stranger to enter the dimly lit living room. They remained just outside the threshold for a heartbeat longer before stepping over the threshold, an unspoken promise hanging in the air. "Who are you?" I pressed again. "What do you know about Leo?" Their gaze shifted to Ava before resting back on me. "You and Leo have a history, one that's more complicated than you think. You're in danger, but it's not just from whoever sent you that message." A chill coursed through me as adrenaline surged again. "What do you mean? Why would anyone want to hurt me?" "Because," the stranger retorted, voice dropping to a hushed tone, "you're the key to everything. You are connected to decisions that were made long before you remembered, decisions that have consequences now." I took a hesitant step backward, trying to make sense of their words, grappling with a swirling cloud of confusion and fear. "What decisions? What do you mean?" "Before your memories faded, you were deeply intertwined with a group people who made choices, some of which put you in the crosshairs of those who wouldn't hesitate to erase you." "Erase me?" Ava echoed, voice rising. "What are you talking about?" "Those connected to Leo are watching. They've been waiting for you to remember," the stranger continued, a note of urgency creeping into their voice. "And you're running out of time. We have to move now. It's not safe for you here. What do you mean, moving? I stammered, my voice heavier than lead. My instincts kicked in, urging me to flee from this cryptic danger encroaching upon us. I can't. There are answers closer than you think. They cut me off. You must come with me. There's no time to lose. What makes you think we will trust you? Ava stood in front of me protectively, her chin raised defiantly despite her eyes betraying a flicker of fear. Because I know you don't have a choice, the stranger replied, their voice dropping further, almost pleading. Every second counts. If you want to discover who Leo is and what happened, you have to trust me. Otherwise, whoever is watching will come for you, and it won't end well. In that moment, the weight of uncertainty settled upon us. Should we follow this stranger down a path of potential danger, or continue to seek the truth in our own way? As the abyss of dread loomed before me, I looked at Ava. Her expression flickered from protectiveness to an unyielding spark of fierce determination. That feeling you have inside, the stranger continued, seemingly oblivious to our hesitation, the echoes of memories clawing at your mind, those aren't just dreams. They are a warning. My breath hitched. What do I have to lose? I whispered, glancing fitfully between the stranger and Ava. Yes, you do have a choice, Ava interjected fiercely. You could choose to confront these shadows or remain shackled to the fear they've instilled. But it's not just about you. And if things go wrong, what will happen to you? The stranger added, their voice laced with a raw sincerity. The lines of conflict carved deeper into Ava's brow, but I felt the gravity of the situation tearing away at my resolve. Leo, the memories I need to know, I finally whispered, the words spilling from my lips like a catalyst to the very core of my fears. The stranger nodded, their expression shifting to one of determination. Then we have no time to waste. Come with me, and I'll show you everything, starting with where he is, and how you can claim back your past. Ava's hand found mine once more, squeezing tightly as if trying to anchor me to the ground. But as I turned to face my choices, a loud crash echoed from outside, rattling the windows, drawing us all into a moment of dread. What was that? I asked, fear flooding my voice. My heart raced as we glanced toward the window, a shiver trickling down my spine as I witnessed dark figures moving in the distance, creeping ever closer, shadows swallowing the morning light. Now we truly don't have time, the stranger said, urgency etched into their face. We have to leave. Now. Yet as we all turned toward the door, a realization landed like ice in my veins. The shadowy figures weren't just coming for me. They were part of a revelation that would either bind us further together or forever shatter our connection. We were stepping into unknown territory, and every choice taken after this moment would echo throughout our lives in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. And as we stepped outside, a gut-wrenching scream pierced the air, not from any of us, but it forced the truth. We were not just surrounded by shadows. We now stood on the edge of an abyss that lacked any reassurance of what lay beyond it. As we stepped outside, the panic coursed through my veins like electricity, mingling with the acrid scent of fear and uncertainty that hung in the air. We need to hurry, the stranger urged, their voice snapping me out of the paralysis that had momentarily taken hold. Ava's grip tightened on my hand, her breathing quickening beside me. I looked into her eyes filled with determination, yet plagued by the same questions that echoed in my mind. It would have been easy to turn back, to retreat to safety, but deep within me, something urged me forward. The scream had revealed the facade of normalcy that had cloaked my reality, and now, I was teetering on the edge of a chasm filled with nightmares and perhaps glimmers of truth. We sprinted down the street, the adrenaline pushing us forward as shadowy figures moved with swift determination behind us. The stranger led us through narrow alleyways and hidden paths, guiding us away from the danger that lurked just out of sight. I could hear the pounding of my heart, matching the rhythm of our flight, thudding insistently in my ears. Each breath I took felt laden with the weight of my choices, both made and yet to come. Where are we going? Ava gasped, struggling to keep up. What do we do if they catch us? I felt the stranger's gaze linger on us, their face a mask of resolve cloaked in urgency. We're headed to a safe house. It's not far, but we need to be fast and quiet. They know we're onto something. We just need to stay one step ahead. Each step away from home felt like severing a lifeline, and soon, Memories of familiar streets began to fade into the distance behind us. As the alley opened up into a small park, the terror of the chase began to taper into a momentary calm. Thick trees loomed around us, their branches swaying gently, almost beckoning me to find solace among their trunks. But solace was a fleeting dream. A flicker of movement caught my eye, a figure, hidden partially behind the shadows of a nearby tree. My heart stopped. One look at their tense posture told me they were not a passerby drenched in the calm of the evening. Instead, they radiated a palpable intensity that sent a thrumming tension through the air. "Is that one of them?" I whispered, gripping Ava's hand tighter. "Just stay close," the stranger cautioned, pulling us behind a bush. My heart raced again, but this time it was with a mixture of terror and hope. The stranger had reasons for bringing us here, after all. But as I watched the figure shift, a jolt of recognition surged through me. "Leo?" I gasped, emotions cascading through me like a tidal wave. It was him, I was certain of it. Checkered shadows obscured his features, yet his presence ignited a flicker of forgotten memories. Confusion and excitement battled within me, my heart thrumming madly against my ribs. "Leo," I called out, voice unsteady as I edged forward from my hiding place. "No, stay back," the stranger shouted, grasping my arm. The urgency in their tone cut through my instincts, summoning fear anew as I hesitated. "Please, don't," I pleaded, torn between my desire to rush into the arms of the boy who had become a ghost in my memory and the stark warning echoing in my mind. Leo stepped further into the shadows, his silhouette stark against the darkening sky, as the ambient light caught the edge of his face, a face I hadn't seen in so long, yet was etched deep in my heart. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice trembling but laced with an unmistakable resolve. "It's not safe. You need to go back?" I interrupted, my voice brimming with defiance. "I can't just go back. I need to know. I want to understand what happened." A heavy silence stretched between us, charged with emotions left unanswered. I could see it then, the shadow reflected not only in Leo's gaze but in my own, a dance of fear mingling with hope and longing. I wanted to bridge the void created by our lost years, to reclaim the bond that had once tethered us together. But before he could respond, the air quivered, and then the world shattered around us. The unmistakable sounds of hurried footsteps approached rapidly, breaking the fragile moment of connection we barely carved out. Leo's eyes widened. "You have to go. Now. They've found me." "No," I screamed, desperate instincts surging forward. The heat of desperation ignited the conflict within me. This man, this boy who had haunted my dreams and once vowed to protect me, was right there, and now he was pushing me away. "Leave with the stranger," he shouted, his voice rising as figures spilled into the clearing, their silhouettes cloaked in darkness with intentions I feared were malign. "I can't let them hurt you." But it was too late. In a whirlwind of confusion, I felt Ava yank me backward as we stumbled through the brush, away from Leo and the chaos that was rapidly engulfing us. With every fleeting glance I cast backward, his eyes bore into me with a mix of urgency and something deeper, something that whispered of an unbroken connection even as they threatened to transport us further into danger. And just like that, the cruel twist of fate thrust us into two divergent paths. As I was pulled from the glimmer of my past that flickered in Leo's eyes, a chilling realization gripped my heart. Choosing to flee might have sealed the threads of our fates, unraveling everything I had just begun to reclaim. The world faded into shadows behind me as I fought against the tumult of emotions and the intertwining destinies that wrapped around us like vines, blossoming with possibility yet choking on fear. What was left behind could not be undone, and I couldn't shake the feeling that explanations and clarity were slipping further from our grasp with each passing heartbeat. In that swirling storm of choices, fears, and fragmented truths, the greatest revelation emerged. The deeper Leo and I fell into silence, the more perilous the abyss of our connection became. And as the figures encroached upon Leo's last visible outline, I sensed it was only the beginning of an unraveling I could never have expected. The world around us blurred as we stumbled through the underbrush, the chaos of footsteps fading into the background, replaced by the sound of my own racing heart. I clutched Ava's hand tightly, as if my grip alone could keep us tethered to safety and away from whatever dark fate loomed behind us. "Where are we going?" she gasped, glancing back nervously, her expression a mixture of fear and confusion. "I don't know," I admitted, my voice wavering, the realization crashing over me like cold water. Leo had been so close, a living reminder of everything I had lost, yet I was trapped in a nightmare from which I couldn't escape. "But we have to keep moving." The stranger who had led us through the alleys remained resolute in front of us, eyes scanning the surroundings. I tried to focus on their presence, seeking guidance and strength, but my thoughts spiraled uncontrollably back to Leo. He and T just warned us to run. He looked scared, desperate, almost as if he feared for his life. As we reached the end of the alley, emerging onto a dimly lit street, a glimmer of hope flickered in my chest. In the distance, the warm glow of streetlights lit the path ahead, promising temporary refuge. Yet the shadows behind us whispered of looming threats, waiting to pounce. I felt like a fragile glass figurine, delicate, beautiful, and on the verge of shattering. "What if they find us?" Ava said, glancing anxiously over her shoulder. "What if we never see him again?" The pang of her words settled like lead in my stomach. I bit my lip, fighting back the tide of emotions surging within me. "We can't think like that," I replied, though my voice betrayed me. "We have to believe he is okay." "Believe?" she echoed, incredulity rising with each syllable. "What if this is our new reality? What if we're just running from one nightmare into another?" A sinking feeling curled in my chest at her words. The panic of the unknown loomed in sharp relief. I hadn't allowed myself to fully embrace the possibility that everything I had known could be shattered. The safety of our lives, the routines that kept our world grounded, and the love that Leo and I had once shared like a quiet promise. Just then, the stranger halted abruptly, scanning the street. "This way," they urged, ducking into a narrow opening between two buildings. I hesitated, my instincts screaming against the darkness that kissed the edges of the alley, but the urgency in their voice pulled us in. Inside, the air shifted, growing stale and heavy. My heart thudded loudly in the silence, each beat echoing the void left by Leo's absence. I stole glances at Ava, whose youthful eyes shone with vulnerability. Here we were, brought together by chaos, yet bound by an unspoken understanding, sisters in this confounding labyrinth that swallowed our lives whole. "We need to stay close," the stranger instructed, lowering their voice as they began to navigate the twists of what appeared to be an abandoned storage area. Cages lined the walls, coated in dust and memories long forgotten. "I'll contact someone who can help us, but we have to trust each other." Trust. The words sat heavy between us, especially in the wake of whatever had transpired between Leo and me. I wanted to scream that trusting anyone felt impossible, but beneath that impulse grew a flicker of hope. Hope that perhaps in this chaos, we could find some semblance of clarity. As we settled into a dark corner, our breaths quieting but tension still wrapping around us tightly, I caught movement at the far end of the room. A figure emerged from the shadows, more solid than the weight of uncertainty that clung to me. The stranger made their approach deliberate, and for a moment, I caught the briefest glimpse of compassion behind their guarded expression. "Listen," they murmured, crouching before us, their eyes softening. "I know you're scared, but I promise you, we're not alone in this fight." The weight of their words washed over me, almost soothing in comparison to the storm raging within. In that moment, I understood that while fear had the power to bind us in darkness, kindness could navigate us towards the light of possibility. That I squeezed Ava's hand tighter, drawing strength from her presence. "If we get out of this, we have to find Leo," I whispered, resolute. "We can't leave him behind." "Are you sure?" Ava's voice trembled, laden with uncertainty. "What if it's too dangerous?" "We owe it to him." "We owe it to ourselves," I replied, knowing I had crossed some invisible threshold from which there would be no turning back. As our eyes met, a spark ignited between us, a connection forged in shared fear, yet illuminated by resolve. But even as I clung to hope, the shadows outside teased of encroaching threats, a tangible reminder that our lives may unravel before our very eyes. As the stranger began relaying plans for our escape to me in hushed tones, there came another sound, a harsh clatter, a noise that shattered the fragile calm. My heart dropped as the door flung open behind us. Time slowed, and dread coiled within my stomach like an animal waiting to pounce. My breath caught as I turned, and a figure stepped into the dim light, their face partly obscured, but I felt the sudden jolt of recognition. My heart plummeted, and panic surged through me once more at the sight of the last person I expected to see, but the very one who could unravel the thread of everything I fought to hold together. "Did you really think you could run away from this?" They sneered. "You have no idea what you're up against." The room spun around me as my eyes widened in disbelief. I was frozen, unable to process how they had found us. The shadowy figure stepped closer, their features becoming clearer. The cold realization washed over me like ice water as I recognized the familiar contours of Sam's face, twisted by a cruel grin. "Aren't you surprised to see me?" Sam leaned against a rusted pillar, arms crossed casually, but the tension in the air was palpable. "I'd almost begun to think you wouldn't show. You should have known I'd come looking for you." I felt Ava shift beside me, her grip on my hand tightening, as if afraid I might float away. I wanted to scream at Sam, to release the fury that churned inside me, but all I could manage was a whisper. "Why are you doing this?" Sam laughed, but it was devoid of humor, sharp enough to cut through my resolve. "Why? Because you thought you could escape the consequences of your choices. You thought running away would change anything. You don't understand," I shot back, anger prickling at my skin. "We're not running away from anything. We're trying to survive." Ava's eyes darted between us, her confusion growing. She had always seen Sam as an extension of the life we once had, not as an enemy. Maybe it was easier for her to see the familiar and safe in the darkness. But I saw through Sam's facade. I saw the manipulation glimmering in their eyes. "Survival? You think you can just hide in the shadows and pretend this isn't happening? In this game, you have to play to win," Sam retorted, moving closer, each step calculated, purposeful that I had to shield Ava from Sam's words, the darkness seeping into her innocence. "You don't get to decide how our lives play out. We're not your puppets." But even as I spoke, I felt the tremor in my voice, echoing my own fear and hesitation. "Well, you are in my world now," Sam said, grinning wider, revealing the predatory challenge beneath their calm. "And here, everything has a price." A new wave of dread washed over me. The shadows outside the building grew deeper, the air thick with danger, as Sam's words sunk in. What horrors lay behind that smile? What cost would we have to pay for our freedom? My heart raced, panic rising like bile in my throat as I thought of Leo. An impending sense of doom clawed at me. What if he was already caught in this game? A pawn in a strategy one didn't understand yet? "You think this is just about you and your little escape act," Sam continued, their voice tinged with venomous amusement. "There are stakes here far above your pay grade. You should be aware, Leo's involvement makes this a whole different ballgame." I flinched at the mention of Leo, the weight of my heart heavy with unspoken fear. "What have you done to him?" I demanded, hands clenched into fists. "Nothing yet," Sam replied casually, bare malice underneath their tone. "But let us just say, if you don't get your act together, you might find he's tangled in something you can't even fathom. He's playing his role, and if you're not careful, he might just get swept away." "No," I whispered, the energy draining from me as Ava pressed forward, her youthful determination igniting. "I won't let you hurt him," she declared, her voice shaking but resolute. "We'll fight together." Sam turned, caught off guard by Ava's unexpected bravery. How sweet. The little sister wants to play hero. But in this world, heroes don't exist. You're either the one pulling the strings or the one getting strung along. And you're both decidedly in the latter category. "No," I repeated, my voice stronger now as I drew Ava beside me. "We are not puppets. We will find Leo, and we will face whatever you've set in motion. You're wrong if you think fear will keep us silent." The atmosphere shifted, a palpable tension slicing through the room. Sam's amusement faded, the veneer of confidence cracking. I could feel a new resolve blooming within me, igniting a flame that refused to be snuffed out. But just as I gathered my thoughts to confront Sam, a low thud echoed through the storage area, reverberating ominously against the walls. The stranger who had led us here moved stiffly, positioned between us and Sam, their face tightening with a sudden realization. "We have to go now," they urged, the command laced with anxiety. "What is happening?" I exclaimed, my heart leaping into my throat. "No time," the stranger replied urgently. There's no telling how many of them are coming. In this world, it's now or never, Sam said with a strange mix of joviality and malice, retreating to the shadows. But make no mistake, you're going to regret ever crossing me. As Sam disappeared into the darkness, a new fear tightened around my heart, more suffocating than the threat of capture. I was burdened not only with the responsibility of finding Leo, but also with the realization that this nightmare was just beginning. Before I could process the next move, before I could understand the implications of the choice hovering before us, the rumble of approaching footsteps filled the alleyway outside, heavy and inevitable. Run, the stranger urged, shoving us towards the back exit. I looked at Ava, our wide eyes filled with unspoken questions and a sense of impending dread, but also with a flicker of unwavering resolve. We had come to this point together and would face this cruel new reality, no matter the cost. Just as we lunged towards safety, a sudden shout echoed behind us, and the realization struck like a blade to my heart. The voice belonged to Leo. No, I screamed, but it was a moment too late, as the door closed behind me, cutting off the echo of his plea from my grasp forever. Keep moving, the stranger insisted, but all I could think of was Leo, trapped somewhere beyond the shadows, while I stood frozen in an overwhelming mixture of fear, anger, and pain, a heart torn between love and despair, on the edge of losing it all. The alleyway outside was shrouded in darkness, the dim light of flickering street lamps barely piercing the heavy veil of night surrounding us. I could hardly breathe, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on my chest as I stumbled forward. Ava's hand was gripped tightly in mine, her small fingers cold and trembling. Our hearts beat a frantic rhythm, echoing our shared fears, as we rushed alongside the stranger through the labyrinth of shadowed streets. Who are you? I gasped, trying to catch my breath as I cast a quick glance back. The distant shouts faded, but the tension lingered ominously. Why did you bring us here? Jack, he introduced himself curtly, glancing over his shoulder. His expression was grave, shadows etching lines of concern on his brow. And I brought you here because there's no time to waste. You need to get somewhere safe. Safe? But Leo, he's still out there. My voice cracked, the desperation clawing at me. We can't just leave him. There's nothing you can do for him right now, Jack replied, urgency lacing his words as he quickened his pace. If Sam finds out you're here, he'll come after you too. Then you'll both be lost. Trust me, we need to get to my place. I hesitated, torn between my instincts and the need to protect Ava. A soft squeeze from her hand reminded me that I wasn't alone in this fight. Anxiety bubbled beneath the surface, and yet, a tiny ember of courage sparked within me. Okay, I relented, forcing the words past my lips. But we're not abandoning him. Jack nodded, leading us deeper into the shadowy cityscape. As we turned a corner, the sound of our footsteps softened, muffled by the damp pavement and a low fog creeping in from the river. I watched in silence as Jack dug into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, metal flashlight. He flicked it on, casting a thin beam of light into the blackness, illuminating the path ahead. I get that you're scared, Jack said, his voice low and steady. But you are in more danger than you realize. Sam is not someone to take lightly. They play by their own rules, and leaving now is the only way to survive this night. Rage bubbled within me. Survival shouldn't mean running away, I snapped, anger spilling over. Especially not when Leo's, it means you live to fight another day. He interrupted, his tone firm. If you want to get him back, you can't let yourself get caught. You have to be smart. With those words floating in the air between us, I felt my defenses falter. Maybe Jack was right. Leo might be in a far worse situation, and rushing back into danger wouldn't help anyone. The glow of a nearby diner came into view, its neon lights flickering weakly in the dim street. As we approached the door, I glimpsed a handful of patrons inside, shadows huddled around chipped, wooden tables, and the scent of fries and coffee wafting like an invitation. Wait here, Jack instructed sharply, eyeing the street for any sign of pursuers. I'll check if it's clear. As he slipped inside, I turned to Ava, who was peering through the glass with wide, frightened eyes. What if Leo finds a way to escape? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. We just have to trust him, I replied, pulling her closer to me. He is strong, Ava. He won't give up on us. The tiny flicker of hope in my words felt fragile, but it was all I had in that moment. We stood hand in hand, feeling like two lost ships in a storm, yet somehow anchored to each other. Just then, Jack emerged with a tense expression, beckoning us inside. "Stay low and keep quiet," he instructed, ushering us through the door. "We can't draw attention." Inside, the buzz of conversation and the clinking of glasses filled the air. I held my breath, scanning the room for any sign of trouble. Ava squeezed my hand tighter, drawing comfort from my presence. As we settled into a booth in the far corner, I couldn't shake the gnawing sense of impending doom. "We'll order some food, just hide out for a bit," Jack said, his voice lowered as he waved over a waitress. "You both need it." As the waitress approached, I couldn't help but feel an undercurrent of kindness radiating from her warm smile, a moment of softness in the harsh whirlwind of chaos we had just escaped. When she set a plate of fries in front of us, I managed a grateful nod, though the gnawing anxiety clawed at my stomach. But then a muffled commotion erupted from the front of the diner. My heart raced as the door swung open with a loud crack, and I turned to see Sam walking in. Their gaze swept over the patrons, a predatory smile painted across their face as they scanned the room like a hawk. I froze, and my pulse quickened as our eyes met, their expression darkening with malicious delight that I couldn't breathe. "Simon," Jack hissed, gripping my wrist tightly and pulling me down into the booth as the shadows of the room engulfed us. The air felt electric, charged with tension, but as I crouched there, I found my voice. What do you want with Leo?" I gasped, even as the very question echoed with hopelessness. "Why, darling," Sam's voice rang out, smooth like silk, "I just want to play a little game." At that moment, a deep longing washed over me. Would I have to sacrifice everything to save him? How deep does this darkness run? The room fell silent, every pair of eyes turning toward the unfolding drama. My body tensed, caught in the relentless pull of fear and unresolved fate. Yet amidst the swirling shadows, there glimmered a spark of determination. I wasn't done fighting yet. But what could I do against someone who always seemed to be a step ahead? As I leaned further into the warmth of the booth, my heart raced, knowing the true battle was just beginning. The air crackled with an anxious energy as I crouched in the booth, Jack's grip tightening around my wrist, while Sam scanned the diner with a predatory gaze. The laughter and chatter that had previously filled the air now seemed suffocated, replaced by the thick tension that wrapped itself around us like a heavy cloak. I could hear my pulse thrumming in my ears, a steady reminder of the cold terror creeping up my spine. "Leo," I yelled suddenly, the name bursting forth from my lips like a desperate plea. "You can't hurt him." Sam's smile widened, their eyes glinting with amusement. "Oh, sweetheart, we both know that that's not entirely true. Pain is merely a means to an end. Isn't that right?" A wave of nausea washed over me as panic clawed at my stomach. Why was I provoking them? Was it my hope that instigated this dangerous game? But in that moment, I saw the flicker of fear in Ava's eyes, freezing my function to think clearly. It was as if time had slowed. Every heartbeat felt excruciatingly loud. "Stay down," Jack murmured through clenched teeth, trying to pull me closer. "We have to get out of here." Yet, I couldn't tear my gaze away from Sam. The way they reveled in the fear they exuded made bile rise in my throat. "What do you want, Sam?" I pressed on, swallowing hard as I fought against the instinct to shy away. "I want what any good friend would want," Sam replied, feigning innocence. "A little entertainment while I wait for your precious Leo to come to save the day. After all, isn't that what heroes do?" My heart ached at their twisted words, but a flicker of defiance ignited in my chest. "He'll show up. You think you're in control, but you're wrong. We're not afraid of you." "Is that so?" Sam's eyes narrowed, and I could see the heel of their shoe tapping impatiently against the worn floor, as if anticipating the moment they would strike out. "Then I suppose you won't mind if I give Leo a call." The shock left my throat raw, too stunned to respond. "A simple request?" "No," I thought against the storm of rising dread in my heart. I couldn't let this night spiral further into chaos, a night that was already too entrenched in heartbreak. That was then, as Sam reached into their pocket, that I noticed a figure emerge from the corner of the diner, an elderly man, disheveled and weary, yet his eyes sparkled with a wisdom that came only from years of survival. He shuffled closer, a gentle determination etched in the lines of his face. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice raspy but commanding. "Why don't you leave those kids alone? They have nothing to do with your games." My heart leapt at the unexpected kindness. In this dark world filled with cruelty, an act of bravery, however small, was a breath of fresh air. Sam turned, their amusement fading to a simmer of irritation. "And who are you to interfere, old man?" "Someone who has seen their share of bullies," he replied calmly, unwavering in his stance. "Let the kids go. You're better than this." For a moment, I saw doubt flash across Sam's face, a glimpse of humanity peeking through the mask they wore. But it was fleeting, and I felt a new wave of panic wash over me. This was my chance. Time was slipping away, and if Leo was out there, alone and vulnerable, I needed to act fast. "Listen," I said, raising my voice so that both Sam and the old man turned their gaze towards me. "Let us leave. Take me instead of Leo. Just don't hurt him." Sam's lips curled into a predatory smile once more, a mixture of surprise and thrill flickering in their eyes. "Now that's an interesting proposition. But tell me, darling, do you understand what you'd be giving up?" "I'd willingly give up everything," I shot back, my voice unwavering. "Just as long as he is safe. Just let us go." The diner seemed to hold its breath. The silence stretched taut, as if the entirety of our fates hung suspended in the air. Sam's gaze danced between the old man and me, relishing the weight of their decision. Then, just as suddenly as it had arrived, a tremor of uncertainty flashed over their face. "I'll think about it," Sam finally said, their voice dripping with sarcasm. "But let us not keep things dull. Leo could use some company after he tripped into the fun tonight." My heart dropped, the weight of it almost too much to bear. What did Sam mean by that? What had they done to Leo? Just the thought of him potentially suffering filled my mind with a dark haze, causing my resolve to tremble. "Please just let him go," I whispered softly, my earlier courage dissipating like mist in the morning sun. The old man stepped forward, determination lighting his eyes more fiercely than ever. "You don't have to do this, Sam. You have a choice, a better one. And it doesn't have to be on their backs." "Choices?" Sam echoed, their smile a now cold and jagged thing. "The only choice here is the one I make to remind you both just how fragile this world really is." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the back of the diner. Glass shattered against the tile, and the patrons jumped in fright, confusion mixing with fear. Yet, amidst the chaos, I felt something shift within me, a moment of strength ignited anew. "Jack, Ava, we need to move," I shouted, my voice ringing with urgency as I felt the first real hint of adrenaline coursing through me. As I grabbed Ava's hand and pulled her towards the rear exit, time seemed to elongate, stretching taut. But just as we turned to escape, Sam's voice rang out sharply. "You think you can run away from the inevitable? You don't know what you're in for." And with that, a shocking realization hit me like a thunderclap. My heart raced as I caught Jack's eye. We were on the brink of a pivotal choice between darkness and light. But in that split second, I was faced with the reality that this was only the beginning of our game, a game Sam had orchestrated with deadly precision. As we burst through the door into the night, the alleyways once again swallowed me whole. Leo was out there, somewhere in the void. But would I be brave enough to continue to fight for him? The streets lay ahead, dark and treacherous, and I felt the thrill of the chase ignite my spirit once more. For Leo, and for us, I would not back down. But what awaited us in the shadows? What lurking horrors and hidden truths lay waiting just beyond the flickering streetlights? As I stepped into the night with Ava and Jack, the answers hung heavier than the looming dread. As we burst into the alley, the world transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and echoes. The streetlights flickered dimly behind us, barely illuminating our hurried escape. It felt surreal, like the climax of a nightmare where every twist of fate led us deeper into an abyss. I could almost hear Leo's voice calling from some distant place, urging me to return, to fight for him. Yet, the very essence of darkness loomed over us, a pulsing reminder that we were no longer just living our ordinary lives. We were caught in a game defined by uncertainty, and I feared we were not the ones holding the reins. "Where to now?" Ava gasped, urgency slipping from her voice, eyes scanning the narrow alleyways while the adrenaline kept our hearts racing. Jack turned, a determined glint in his eyes. We need to find somewhere safe to regroup and plan our next move, he said, practical urgency dominating his tone. The Diner 1T remained unguarded for long. We pressed forward, moving deeper into the shadows, where whispers of danger lingered in the air like a thick fog, every heartbeat a reminder of the peril we faced. But amidst the fear, there was also a burgeoning resolve within me, a flicker of hope fueled by the thought of Leo. I could almost feel that connection tugging at my heart, weaving us into a tapestry of destiny and longing. Feeling the pressure rising, I suddenly halted. Wait, we can't leave him behind, I insisted, gaze darting from Jack to Ava. I can't just run away knowing he's out there, likely in danger. We owe it to him to fight. Jack opened his mouth to protest, but Ava grasped my hand tightly and squeezed it. I'm with you. We can't abandon him, not after everything. Her voice was deep and sure, no longer the frightened child I had first known when our hell began. There was a fire inside her now, a determination that mirrored my own. Before I could respond, I felt a flicker of movement in the shadows behind us, a figure slipping into the thin streams of darkness. Heart pounding, I turned, my instincts straining against the palpable fear that crushed my chest. Who's there? I called out, defiance clenched in my voice. Silence swallowed the alley, stretching seconds into an eternity. And then, just as panic began to claw at my mind, the figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face, Leo. My breath caught in my throat. Leo, I shouted, the name erupting from me like a spell that shattered the darkness. I ran forward, a whirlwind of raw emotion swelling up within me. Is it really you? His expression was a mix of relief and concern, piercing through the constant shadows that had hung around him for so long. I was so afraid I'd lost you. You shouldn't have come for me, he said, voice heavy with unshed emotions. We're not leaving you behind. Not now, I replied, desperately grasping his hands, feeling the warmth and steadiness seep into my bones, dispelling the icy fear that gripped me. What happened? Are you okay? I am now, he said softly, searching my eyes deeply, as if trying to reassure himself as much as me. Sam was looking for you. I heard everything. I wasn't going to let them take you. I heard the weight of protective love in his words, a promise echoed through the darkness, binding us together even in the face of chaos. But moments are fleeting, and I felt the shadow of Sam looming closer, our time at the brink of an unraveling. We need to move. They'll be coming for you, for all of us, I urged, pulling him along. As we rushed down the alley, the atmosphere was electric, the impending sense of danger crackling through the air. There was something deeper brewing beneath the seams of our entwined fates, and I could feel it escalate with every step we took together. And then, without warning, the shadows shifted. Sam appeared before us like a specter summoned from the depths, a malevolent grin stretching across their face as they stepped into the dim light. Well, 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 what a romantic reunion, they sneered, each word dripping with malice. But I'm afraid it's time to end this little escapade. Desperation surged through me. Stay behind me, I shouted, pushing Leo and Ava behind me. But in that instant, the air shifted, heavy with a darkness I could not define, and I felt all the threads of chaos tugging at me. Don't you see? Sam's voice thrummed with twisted enthusiasm. You've walked right into my game. Your little bond of love will mean nothing when choices are stripped away. They eyed us contemptuously, savoring the moment, a predator preparing to pounce. You'll watch your precious world burn before your eyes. But then something shifted inside me, a surge of unexpected power rising. I closed my eyes, recalling the connection I felt with Leo, the love laced within the shared moments we had cherished, undiminished despite this tempest. You're wrong, I cried out, letting the raw passion fill my voice. No darkness can extinguish what we feel. We want to allow you to take our power. As I opened my eyes, I felt a warm glow radiate from within, flickering like a fragile candle. The shadows seemed to recoil just slightly, and I realized that love was a weapon even in the face of overwhelming despair. We will fight for each other. Leo squeezed my hand, and I saw a flicker of something hope mirrored in his gaze, igniting something in both of us. Our light united, forming an unyielding shield against the darkness that threatened to consume us. It felt electric, vibrant, and alive, a beacon of defiance that echoed within our hearts. And then, just like that, Everything shifted. Ava stepped forward, her voice breaking through the heavy silence. You think you can control us with fear? You're sorely mistaken. Her words were fierce. Conviction poured from her as she joined us, the glowing bond between us growing stronger, encompassing our trio like a protective force. Sam recoiled, confusion clouding their features, and I knew, in that moment, that we had forged something greater than we had ever imagined. We called upon the depths of our connection, our unwavering resolve binding us tighter, feeding the light that pierced through the darkness that had tried to engulf us. The world bent itself to accommodate our new strength as a surge of energy pulsed through us, blooming with power. You want a game? Leo shouted, indomitable strength pouring from his voice. Then let us play, but we want to play by your rules. With that, everything exploded into motion, emboldened by our newfound determination. The air crackled with the promise of defiance, and I felt freshness, clarity washing over me like an exhilarating rush of adrenaline. Together, we stepped forward, ready to face whatever challenge awaited us, to rescue ourselves and Leo from the darkness, igniting a blaze that would guide us home. And, just like that, through the looming chaos and uncertainty, I knew we had emerged not as pawns, but as warriors. A fierce determination ignited within me. No matter what it took, I would not abandon the love we had fought to recreate. We would stand side by side against the darkness, relentlessly pursuing us. As the storm of fate gathered strength, I looked over my shoulder and saw the flicker of determination mirrored in Ava and Leo's eyes. Knowing this was our moment, a raging surge of raw power igniting all around us. In the end, it was love that would shape our destiny, and that, above all else, would be the greatest game changer of all.